legal expert, aren't you? You spend a lot of time studying the International Court of Justice.
Yes.
We're being told that Pakistan may try and claim that they are no longer bound by the jurisdiction of this court in what they describe as matters of national security. Is this even conceivably plausible, in your opinion?
Well, it is plausible. They are arguing that they signed another bilateral agreement about consular relations, which they say takes precedence over the Vienna Convention. Now, that is something that the court will have to decide, whether a later bilateral agreement will take precedence, even if India claims that it doesn't, because there seems to also be some issue about whether that other bilateral agreement has been deposited as it should by the UN. So it's going to be very procedural, very legal, very much in the fine print. But this is it is a plausible, it is possible to have a bilateral agreement that could supersede the international agreement, but the details of that agreement would have to be known.
It seems very strange, doesn't it, that a country who has previously signed up as a signatory to this international agreement can simply unilaterally decide, almost at a moment's notice, that it's going to change the rules, it's going to change its own approach. That just doesn't seem fair.
Well, that's why these cases end up at the court. But this is certainly not the only case of this kind, and a lot of these cases end up in this court. So there are a lot of international agreements that states try to find a way around. And when they do, and when it becomes a big enough issue, they end up here.
So, just to summarize, you seem to be saying that there's going to be a lot of small print, a lot of arguing over the minutiae of this new statement, of this new declaration on Pakistan's part.
Yes, I think that will be the main focus, will not be what is Mr. Jadhav accused of, whether he pled guilty, yes or no, but very much whether Pakistan is still bound by this consular treaty, and what the new statement changes in that. So I think we will hear mostly only procedural things and very little on the substance of the case and how the case was conducted, because the only issue the court will want to hear about is whether he had a right to consular access and whether he got consular access. However the trial went, however maybe it wasn't in line with what international standards are, that's really not for the court to decide. They are only looking at consular access.
So this is really important development then, isn't it? So you seem to be saying that these judges don't really have the jurisdiction to call into question the validity of Mr. Jadhav's conviction.
No, in this case they are called on to rule on a possible violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. That's the only thing they'll look at. Did he get proper consular assistance? However the trial went after is in that sense none of their concern. They are very narrow legally, only obliged to look at one bit. And India will certainly raise this question, but I don't think the court will listen to it because they really can't decide on that.
Just explain to us and our viewers, what sort of enforcement power does this court have? Even if it finds in favour of India, what can it oblige Pakistan to do?
Well, it can order Pakistan to do certain things, but it has no way of actually enforcing what it wants. So the only thing that you could see, it's a kind of the weight of international trust in Pakistan as a valid state that trusts international law. But there have been examples of states that have ignored rulings from the ICJ. There's a very famous, very similar case of a German man who was denied consular assistance by the US, and the court issued a provisional measure that he shouldn't be executed, and he was executed within hours after that issue. So there is no real way of enforcing it, and the only thing is kind of Pakistan's international reputation. But you know, that's then probably a Pakistan internal politics thing, or whether they want to risk that on this.
So you seem